Hey guys, welcome to Most of It, where I talk about most things that I find interesting. Today, we will be talking about the primarch Fulgrim, also called the Phoenician. So without further ado, let's get into this. Our story begins, as with the other primarchs, with Fulgrim crash landing onto a planet as a baby. Now his planet was called Chemos, a resource-poor mining world where people were too busy trying to survive to have any fun. He was found by three people called Talea, Corin, and Solax. Solax wished to kill the baby for it would be a drain on their already short resources. But the baby's perfection was profound to Tolea and Corin, and they refused to harm him. Solax attempted to accomplish his suggestion, but was stopped when Tolea shot him. Neither Tolea or Corin ever felt any guilt over killing for this perfect child. Noticing a stream of pure water near where the baby had landed, Corin decided to name him after the entity that gave Chemos water in its creation myth, Fulgrim. Fulgrim spent his early years as most people on Chemos did, as a factory worker, and as he grew, he gained a name for himself as he was able to complete tasks that would have required three normal men days to complete, by himself in mere hours. Using his Primarch intellect, he learned the planet's tech very quickly and went about improving it, thus increasing efficiency. Seeing the good he was capable of, he decided he would save this suffering world. He continued streamlining processes on Chemos, allowing people more time to rest and relax, and eventually the people began to sing and to dance and to create fine art, all of which were once sacrificed for the sake of survival. The people named Fulgrim the leader of their settlement, and with some time, he was able to conquer all other settlements on Chemos, making him ruler of the world. He even married many times, although after outliving all his spouses, began to stop caring for such things. One day, the Emperor arrived on Chemos and met Fulgrim, recognizing him as one of his lost sons. Fulgrim met him, and without a word fell to his knees and offered his sword and swore to protect the Imperium with all his might. Traveling to Terra with the Emperor to meet his legion, he learned there had been an accident in which much of his gene seed was lost, and without him made replacing it a slow process, thus giving him a very small legion of roughly 200 Astartes. When Fulgrim met his gene sons, the speech he gave was so powerful and moving that the Emperor gave the legion the name of the Emperor's Children, also allowing them to bear his Aquila upon their battle plate. This drove Fulgrim to live up to the honors that had been granted to him and his legion, striving to match the Emperor's perfection in all things. This would shape his life in the years to come. He fought with his legion, but also educated them of the finer things in life, the arts, fine food and drink, and fine craftsmanship. Fulgrim was eager to make his mark on the Great Crusade, but the small size of his legion meant he was placed under the command of his brother Horus Lupercal, and his legion, the Luna Wolves. Despite the embarrassment Fulgrim felt, he soon grew a friendship with Horus, as did both of their respective legions. Eventually, after his legion grew in number, Fulgrim led his own crusades, revealing the light of the Emperor unto many worlds. He also grew a friendship with his brother Ferrus Manus, Primarch of the Iron Hands Legion, who also craved to purify himself of imperfections. This eventually led them to a friendly competition in which they would try to forge a better weapon than the other, resulting in Fulgrim crafting the hammer Forgebreaker and Ferrus making the sword Fireblade. Upon seeing the other's weapon, they declared the other the winner and eventually gifted their weapons to each other, solidifying their bond. After this, the Emperor's children eventually landed on a world called Laren, and while cleansing it, discovered a temple on its surface. Within that temple, there was a blade called the Silver Blade of Lair. Fulgrim would take this blade as a trophy, and over time would begin wielding it more than Fireblade. Little did Fulgrim know, this was in fact a demon blade of Slaanesh, chaos god of perfection, excess, and debauchery. Over time, the Lair blade began to exert its influence over Fulgrim. When the Horus Heresy began, and he met with the War Master to ascertain his true loyalties, Horus revealed his plans to Fulgrim and was able to sway Fulgrim to his cause. Fulgrim's respect for Horus, combined with the effects of the Lair blade, allowed chaos a place within his heart, destroying his loyalty to Terra and replacing it with a fury at the man who, as he saw it, was holding back humanity from the perfection he so craved. Horus tasked Fulgrim with recruiting Ferrus to their cause as they were already friends, and as he and his legion would be valuable to the traitors. Ferrus found this offer to be heresy, and swore the next time they met it would be his enemies. His side now chosen, Fulgrim and his legion fell even deeper into the clutches of Slaanesh. Their arts became more debaucherous by the day. What was once a beautiful play became a horrific orgy. What was once a moving song became a shrink of tortured souls as the performers tore themselves and others apart. When the day came for the War Master to reveal his treachery to the Imperium at what would become known as the Isfahan Dropsite Massacre, Fulgrim and Ferrus met again for a final fateful duel. Each brother fighting with the weapons they had made long ago, Ferrus gained the upper hand until Fulgrim took up the Lair blade, allowing the power to flow through him, and seeing his chance, would not bring himself to kill his brother. It was at this moment the demon within the blade exerted itself and overpowered Fulgrim, forcing him to behead his brother. Fulgrim, upon seeing what he had done, became overwhelmed with the weight of his actions, and the demon, sensing this, offered him a deal. The demon would banish Fulgrim to the oblivion of the void, and in return, it would take Fulgrim's body as its own vessel. Fulgrim, broken from his murdering of his best friend and brother, wished no longer to exist and agreed to the demon's deal. The demon, however, rather than destroying Fulgrim's soul, for its own amusement trapped his soul within a gruesome painting. While after, Fulgrim was able to escape the painting, retaking control of his body, and in return trapping the demon within the same painting, choosing to devote himself to Slaanesh to gain perfection. Fulgrim soon met with his brother Perturabo, primarch of the Iron Warriors, seeking a weapon called the Angel Exterminatus. After traveling in search of the weapon, they arrived in a massive spherical chamber, where Fulgrim revealed there was no weapon, but rather he was to become an even greater weapon in this place. Perturabo, furious at being deceived, attempted to attack Fulgrim, but was drained of his power when Fulgrim began a ritual in which he would use Perturabo's life force to fuel his ascension to demonhood. Just as the process was almost complete, Perturabo broke free, preserving some of his power, and attacked the Phoenician. However, he only managed to destroy Fulgrim's body, as he was reborn as a demon prince of Slaanesh. Fulgrim, now a massive, elegant serpentine creature, promised his brother they would meet again and vanished into the warp along with his legion. Fulgrim was eventually summoned back to Horus's side, and with some convincing, readied him and his forces for the siege of Terra. All traces of decency among the Emperor's children had vanished. Their elegance and beauty had now become a dark cruelty, with many having mutilated themselves in honor of their new patron god. They were eventually unleashed upon the citizens of Terra, wreaking havoc, raping, and mutilating the population, dragging away many prisoners for their own amusement. Fulgrim slaughtered his way through the forces of the Imperial Fists until coming upon First Captain Sigismund. Fulgrim was impressed by his swordsmanship, but still overpowered him and was about to kill him until Sigismund's gene-father stepped forward. Rogodorn, Primarch of the Imperial Fist, challenged the demon Primarch to battle. Fulgrim eventually grew bored and abandoned the siege altogether, taking with him many of Terra's citizens to be used for experiments and torture. After the defeat of Horus and the end of the heresy, the Emperor's children fled into the Eye of Terror, with Fulgrim eventually fighting Rabute Gilliman, Primarch of the Ultramarines. The battle ended with Fulgrim slashing the throat of his once brother, laying him low with a lethal poison before returning to his pleasure worlds for many centuries. His last known appearance was when he received a beacon from the destroyed planet of Isstvan III from the sole surviving Loyalist Emperor's children, a dreadnought named Rylanor, who over the millennia had found an undetonated virus bomb and rigged it to trap his Primarch. Fulgrim, upon seeing Rylanor in his destroyed, weakened state, laughed and goaded him, using Thousand Sons sorcerers he had brought with him to contain the blast of the bomb. As Fulgrim approached to defile Rylanor, the dreadnought denounced his once father and all he had become. Rylanor's words moved the Thousand Sons, so they too denounced Fulgrim and released the bomb's blast, killing themselves, Rylanor, and Fulgrim, who reformed himself within the realm of Slaanesh, his pride greatly wounded. There he remains to this day, indulging in grotesque pleasures with his sons. So that's where the story stands currently. Fulgrim's is a story of obsession and pride. His compulsion to strive for perfection, while in the beginning was a noble thing, soon became an obsession that infected his sons, who believed he was always disappointed in them. His desire for perfect weaponry drove him to take the lair blade for himself without any second thought. The weight he put upon himself to fulfill the Emperor's commands and prove himself resulted in a desperation which Slaanesh was able to exploit. His is also a story of stunted growth. Having pledged himself unto Slaanesh, he can no longer progress and grow. If you want to learn more about Fulgrim, I would recommend the books Fulgrim by Graham McNeill, one of my personal favorites from the Horus Heresy series, Angel Exterminatus, and Fulgrim the Palatine Phoenix. Well, that's all I got for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and comment down below what you'd like to see me cover next, whether Warhammer related or not. And with that said, I'll see you later.